Okay, so this is for ECE 4305 lab for the fall of 2021. This is lab 10, tapping detection. So right here we could see we have my code, and I am just about to push this build to the board. So in this lab we have our Nexys right here, and we're using the accelerometer inside of it. And based on my findings in the accelerometer, my accelerometer has this axis orientation relative to this picture. So going upwards is the positive z direction in acceleration, and down is negative, and then positive y is to the right, negative y is to the left, positive x is towards us, and then negative x is away from us. So that's the accelerometer acceleration axes. So here we could see on my board that nothing's going on because we're not having any accelerations. And we could see at PuTTY, I have this part of my code that just checks to make sure that our sensor is working properly. We're just reading the part ID from the part ID register, and we could see that it should be F2, and we are getting that output that we want. Okay, so I also kind of messed up reading, so I added an extra feature to this lab that I didn't expect to, just because I read it wrong. So it's dependent on this switch right here. So if this switch is low, when you start to tap, all the LEDs start going, and then once you stop, they stop. But when the switch is high, you can think of it almost like a variable acceleration. So the LEDs go further to the left depending on how hard you tap it. So we could see that the harder I start to tap it, the further it goes down the LED strip. So if I lightly tap it, you can see that it's not going that far, but the harder I start to tap it, the further it goes down the board. But just for the regular lab, if I hold the switch low and I start tapping, all the LEDs go, and then when I stop tapping, they stop going. And then the same goes for this one. If I'm not doing anything, the LEDs are off, but once I start tapping, you can see that there's a variable, I guess, LED value depending on how hard I hit this. And then when I stop tapping, the LEDs stop going. And I'll show you just the regular LED touch on PuTTY, just so you can see our output. So this is our acceleration. Every time that the board is not doing anything, we don't get anything out of UART. But once we start tapping, we can see actually that the RX is going. That's because I'm only outputting when we detect a new acceleration, and then that's just dependent on the previous acceleration. So we could see here, I'm going to start tapping. You can see that we're getting a bunch of new values, and then when I stop, it stops. But it's pretty sensitive, so if I start to bang my desk, we can see that values also start going. And I have a value in one of my functions that I can change this threshold value right here. Right now I just have it 1/16, but if I decide to change this to something like 1/4, I can make this device less sensitive to taps. But other than that, that is the end of this lab. So thank you.